Let's go to Brandon, who's on the line in Omaha, Nebraska. Brandon, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for having me on. So my deal here, I worked in government for 7 years, working for some state senators as a legislative aide. I am the casualty of elections, which is fine. And my boss lost her election last fall.
Mm-hmm.
So I really just want to get out of politics completely.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's such a terrible time for that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a good time to move on. I've always wanted to write. I want to do something creative, and I do have a book. I got about 100,000 words to it. I still need to do some work on that. And there's no guarantee with that.
What kind of book is it? A novel?
Yeah. So I'll tell you a little bit about it real quick. It's called Pockets of Time. It's about a nickel that travels through different people from 1940s present day, and it's about all the lives that it touches. So,
okay.
I think a good story in that would be Ken Coleman in Atlanta trying to break into radio.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Can I write you into that?
Sure, man. Go for it. Go for it. You know a lot of the story. If you've read my book, The Proximity Principle, it's right there for you to lift it.
Yep.
So the question is that the, and let's be okay dreaming for a moment. If you could be a novelist, is that the be-all, end-all, or you're not quite sure?
Yeah, I think I would love to just sit down and do that. I got plenty more ideas. The other part of this, I struggle with bipolar disorder, and during unemployment, that's caused some family issues, but that's a separate thing. But so whatever I find in the meantime, I've applied for like copywriting jobs, stuff like that.
Yeah, good.
I need it to be really conducive to my condition, where I can have my routine in place and, not be so stressful, as like government was for me.
Of course.
So I'm just trying, I'm having problems finding what I can break into, and I've been trying to use that proximity principle. It's just that my experience doesn't seem to line up in my degree. I have associates in broadcasting, and then my bachelor's is leadership.
Yeah, but the associates in broadcasting plus the experience of your political work, where I assume you did a lot of writing, what was your position?
Yeah, basically chief of staff, legislative aide. So I would
on
write,
the federal level or state level?
State senator, state level.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think I want you to know, I think you're selling yourself short. You said you're trying the proximity principle. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? What does that look like? What have you done so far?
Yeah, so I've been networking, of course, through government, all my work there. I got pretty strong contacts. I think maybe I just need to be more patient. I don't know. For example, I've even got to the link. My uncle's ex-wife's brother is a CEO, and he connected me with a job agency. So, I'm hopeful maybe something can come out of that yet.
What do you mean by job agency? Temp agency?
I just got the email earlier this week. So
Brandon, you've listened to me on the show for how
long? Probably last 6 months or so. I've been driving for Amazon. You keep me company throughout the day.
Good. Well, I appreciate you listening, but the reason I ask you the question is because I'm kind. But I'm going to have to...
yeah, sure.
I'm a very kind guy. I'm not in this to use callers like you as props so that I can entertain. Okay?
Sure.
All right, that's my qualifying statement. I think you know what's coming.
All right. You could lay it on me.
I'm gonna hit you with truth because you need to hear this. I'm gonna give you some practical stuff, but I think we need to reset your mind here.
Okay.
You're not truly using the proximity principle the way it's supposed to be used. You can't even tell me what your uncle's brother's second cousin once removed, whatever that thing was. Good on you that you made the connection, but you can't even tell me what it is and why it is. I think you're too passive, and I think that you're scared, and I think that this is all very new to you because you've been in the political world, and I get it. I was in that world, and you're just terrified. You've got the polar stuff that you're dealing with. That's real. And so that creates some limitations in your mind because of the realities of what that causes. But you were very successful as a chief of staff with that challenge. So I don't see that holding you back at all. You're mindful of it. So let's be clear on that. But let's move past that. That's a crutch. Number two, You're not really truly using the proximity principle. The proximity principle says in order to do what Brandon wants to do, he's got to be around people that are doing it and in places where it is happening. You want to be a professional writer. Now, there's two ways to go about this. I'm going to keep this simple. One is to finish the novel and submit it and see if you can get it published. Go do your research on J.K. Rowling. Why don't you look up her story? Now, I'm not expecting you to be her. Okay, that's once in a generation type success. But the fact of the matter is how she got in it and all that is very inspiring, and you could do that. So you got that. Sure. You're going to have to build your novel reputation on the side. But you got to have a full-time gig. And it would be better if you were in a gig where you could, A, be writing, or B, be some involvement in leadership because you were a chief of staff. And so it could be a day job that it's not your dream job, but at least you're in leadership because you've led people before. Or you're in a role where you are copywriting and you're using your proximity to all these relationships to go, hey, this guy's good with words. He's a good writer. He's done political writing before. He can do this kind of writing. But you've got all these connections, ridiculous connections, and you're not working them hard enough. You're not setting yourself out there to go, look, I want to eventually write novels. So I can either go all in and starve and do unemployment and cause all kinds of issues there, or I can go get a really good day job that's still in my sweet spot, meaning it's using what I do best, and you know what that is, to do something that you enjoy. So leading people, so maybe you're, leading a team in a nonprofit, or another state agency. So it's not politics, it's bureaucracy. But you know that world. I just think you're making this thing way too difficult and way too complex. Here's what you need. You either need a job where you are writing every day. And by the way, that means you got to get around people who are writers. Okay? That's what you got to do. Or you get in places, you start hanging out with people, you get in places, companies that hire writers. This is very simple. So that's what you got to do. Or you say, you know what, I've got a lot of experience and it's a fairly impressive resume given the fact that I was chief of staff for a state senator. People still raise their eyebrows at that. That still makes people stand up a little bit and go, oh, very impressive. And so you just got to get a day job that will allow you to pursue the dream job. Because I'm telling you right now, being a successful novelist or professional writer that's not a copywriter working for a company but working for yourself, that's going to take time, which, by the way, that's another avenue. Could you do some things online where you are contract for hire doing writing? That stuff's available all over the place. You could do ghost writing. I mean, stop making excuses and start making appointments. You want to overcome the fear and overcome the sludge, then the more activity, the more appointments you make, the more opportunities are going to show up. Don't make excuses, make appointments. You have way too much going for you, way too many relationships for you to still sit around and keep drawing unemployment. So get busy. And I'm all for you, Brandon. Okay? But you got too many excuses going on. And those excuses are feeding your rationale for not being more aggressive. That's the problem. You know what you want to do, get after it.